go through the listing packet. So just an extension of last week, we went through the offer to purchase training packet, or the offer to purchase packet in zip forms. We're going to go through the listing packet today. And then this, I don't anticipate will take as long as last week. We would love to open it up for questions as always after we go through this. And then with that, hopefully you guys can see this. So we're gonna announce this in tomorrow's meeting. But Joni and I are gonna add a help desk time every Thursday beginning next week between 11:30 and 12. And it'll be the same Zoom ID as this contract training. But we felt that we needed to give another opportunity during the week. I mean, you guys we're always available by phone, of course, but just another opportunity. So 11:30 to 12 every Thursday beginning next week, same ID number, okay? All right. Just one more.
Yeah, what's nice about this, I believe, is as Steph said, you can call us anytime or text us. But these help desks are a good way for you to hear other people's questions and may be relevant to your questions. So then you get a good discussion on things.
Yeah, 100%. I like our discussions. A lot of feeding off of one another, which is great. So, all right, can everybody see my screen? Okay, we're looking at zip forms.
Yep.
All right, awesome. Okay, so again, as an extension of last week, I am going to go through the process of setting up a contact in command because we need to have a contact set up in order to set up an opportunity for them. So, you've got your listing presentation coming up. You're going to prepare your documents. You've got the seller's name and address and email address. You're going to prepare yourself for your listing presentation. So we're going to come in and add a contact. Okay. I'm just going to put in the bare minimum here. Create. All right, so I'm going to create an opportunity for Joe. All right. Because, the address is fixed, that's never going to change versus like a buyer opportunity where you might want to just keep it labeled as the buyer's last name and then that he is a buyer. You can go ahead and put the address if you so choose. This is how I label things. Address, last name, client type. Commission rate. Hopefully we are all doing the full 6%. Opportunity stage, you're going to move it out of cultivate and put it into active. An opportunity stage, you can leave it at staging. The key piece in that is just making sure that we're moving it out of cultivate. So then we're going to go to his opportunity. we're going to go to Documents. Now we're going to pick our checklist type. So the same options apply as with the buyer: residential, condo listing, vacant land listing, or outgoing referral. For this, we're just going to pick the residential listing checklist. So along the left-hand side, you can see there are two folders: your listed paperwork and your under contract paperwork. So the same way as the buyer opportunity, this was labeled consultation. So we've got these separated out from the under contract executed offer docs as well. So in the listed folder, we've got our MLS profile sheet, our listing contract, any amendments to the listing contract that you might have. Again, this is optional, and this is nice because this is labeled for you. Your real estate condition report, your Addendum S, again, an optional document, your home warranty, either waiver or invoice, this is required. Your Keller Williams disclosure, again, which is required. And then if this is a referral from another broker, they'll put your executed referral form and then the W-9 from the referring offices, from the referring office. The accounting department needs that. Okay, so now I've got this set up. Now in my process, I switch over and set up my listing paperwork. Got some more people coming in here. All right, so begin our transaction in zip forms. So same process as starting the offer to purchase. So we were under the transactions tab, highlighted in green here. We're going to hit new. We're going to hit new listing. We're going to label it. And for consistency, I always label it the same as my opportunity name. Category, you're either going to pick residential or condominium or vacant land. Again, in this case, we're going to hit residential. Status remains as active. And then you're going to apply a template. And you are going to choose the global residential listing packet. Save. And it should bring you right into the folder. It'll bring you to the summary page, but we're going to go straight to the documents. So in this folder, we'll give you all of the documents that you need for your listing packet, starting with the residential listing contract, of course. So in these templates, we've got them partially filled in. Again, this is not a contract training in that we're not going over the listing contract itself, but just show you if there's any other pieces filled in automatically here. Oh, and just the firm name. So you'll fill in your information. Next up is the Addendum S. So as the listing agent, you're going to start this process for getting it completed by the buyer's agent. So you're going to put in the address here. You'll have to fill in text boxes at the e-signing stage. But again, as we commented last week, a seller has no knowledge of lead-based paint on their home unless they've actually had it tested. The seller is going to sign here. Then you as the listing agent is going to sign on page 3. Once this is started and executed with your signature and your seller signature, this is the form that gets loaded into MLS for the buyer to pick up, buyer's agent to pick up and have their buyer sign. Next is the real estate condition report. You can fill in the top here, but then your sellers are the ones filling this out. You are not filling out the real estate condition report at all. You are not touching it for your sellers. You cannot ask them the questions and then fill it in yourself. They need to fill in all of these blanks themselves.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Yes.
Logistically, I haven't done this yet. So when they fill out the forms, it's easy to do DocuSign. How do I do DocuSign on a real estate condition report?
So I can show you that real quick. It actually becomes a fillable format for your seller. So
How does it feel to have an Angie home? Like
You-
savoring a midnight snack in your newly renovated dream kitchen. Get $20 off your first home project at Angie.com today. Make your home an Angie home. Angie.
muting all, okay. Yeah, let me show you this real quick. So we're in our, oh, I'm gonna go back in case you missed that. So we're in the form, and along the top, you've got certain functions that you can use. So we're gonna do e-sign, packet name. I always, so I kind of do this in 2 pieces when I'm having a client e-sign. I'll have them sign like the majority of the documents all in one package, but then I'll actually send this as a separate email just because this might take them longer to sign. So just for client ease, I send this separately. So real estate condition report is the packet name. I can just leave it like that. Hit next. This happened to me before. So Joe Smith. Close. Wheels are spinning. Okay, it's coming up. So you can see these are all fillable text boxes and check mark boxes. So when he receives this, he'll be able to click in these boxes. So I'm gonna add so if you want to change who receives it, you can assign a new recipient by highlighting it. which is nice. So I'm just gonna send this to myself real quick. So you guys can see how it looks. Does that make sense though?
Yep, makes sense.
Great. So I'll just show you how it looks from the client's end. So they'll be able to pick and choose and then come down here and fill it in. It's nice. Okay. So then, likewise with the Addendum S, they're going to fill this out, sign it, and then you're going to upload this to MLS for the buyer's agent to pick up and give to their buyer to review before writing an offer. Seller certificate of non-foreign status. This is actually being issued now by the title company. So we do not need to have our sellers fill this out. I'm going to let Kimmy know that, and she can probably take it out of this global template packet. The KW disclosure, we saw this last week. This is signed by all clients and all customers of Keller Williams. And again, this discloses our business relationships with Focus Title and RWS Services, the home warranty company. As Joni mentioned last week, this does not require our clients to use these companies. It's just disclosing our business relationship with them. Again, this is a wire fraud prevention notice, an authorization and consent form to email and to call. Property information disclosure. I always miss the inspections disclosure. Giving our recommendation for having a home inspection on a property. Again, the property information disclosure, which we see a bunch. Information is not verified, and if it's material to the buyer, they should verify themselves. Legal advice disclosure. We are not attorneys. We cannot give legal advice. Again, this is signed by all clients and customers. This you're just going to keep in your, once executed, you're just going to upload that to Command. That is not a form that anyone else needs to see. That's an internal document. The home warranty application. So we are required, if the seller client chooses not to have a home warranty in the property, they still need to acknowledge that we have given them the option of having one. And if they choose not to, they must decline, and we have them sign it. This is required in our command documents for compliance. Kimmy and I need to see that. Then in this additional forms folder, we've got additional forms that you guys might need to use and it's made available to you. We've got a listing selling agent inspection form. You can use this as you're doing your walkthrough of the property when you're listing the home to make notes on the exterior and interior. We've got our Focus Title authorization form, and I've been having issues with my PDFs. I'm going to download this. So this is a document that I have signed right away at my listing appointments. If I can show it to you. This gives the title company the authorization to order the mortgage payoff. So if you don't get this signed at the time of your listing appointment, once you go to order title, the title company will require it then. So we need wet signatures as well on this. There are some banks that will not accept a e-signature here. So it's just good practice to get a wet signature right away. And then first mortgage holder or second mortgage holder. So at the time of your listing appointment, you're going to ask if there's any mortgages on the property. The title company needs to see those loan numbers and then the name of the bank. And then also don't forget any home equity lines of credit that also needs to be documented, and the title company needs to order payoffs for those as well. And to get ahead of it, I can just comment as well, when you're at your listing appointments, making sure that your clients understand not to go ahead and touch this and close out these mortgages themselves or make arrangements to, especially with the home equity line of credits. A lot of times sellers will have lines of credit open but do not have any balances on them, and then can close them ahead of time. That does disrupt the process for the title company. The focus title, buyer and seller info sheet. So you'll need this. I always get this started, and then I'll finish this up when I have an executed offer. And then I just supply this along with my title order. Listing questionnaire regarding title issues. This is a document that you could supply to your seller. I'm not sure how many people have this in practice, but just a good checklist to make sure that all bases are covered. MLS Excluded Form. If your listing is going to be excluded from MLS, you need to fill this out, and your clients need to initial the acknowledgements and sign below, as well as your signature. When you do an MLS excluded listing, the parties who you are going to notify are MLS. And once you have this done, along with the listing contract, you will send the contract and the MLS excluded form and email that off to MLS. The MLS authorization to delay showings form. So it's in many people's practice to delay showings. This is attached to your listing contract as well. Very important to know that once you set that fixed date on when showings begin, you cannot move it up. So make sure that the seller understands that. You can delay it up to 21 days. If, let's say, you are planning to delay for 5 days from the start date of the listing contract and you need more time, MLS will give you more time to extend that showing start date. You just cannot move it up. So if you need to show it on day 7 versus day 5, they will allow that. And then we've got our protected buyer letter sample in here as well. This is not a fillable form, but if any of your listings expire and you need to send a protected buyer letter, again, per the terms of the listing contract, the extension of listing agreement, anyone who saw the home or made an offer on the home becomes a protected buyer. And if they come back after the home is expired or the listing has expired and they close on the home, Keller Williams could be owed a commission. trying to show you what this looks like, but I'm having issues with zip forms. And it's just a sample of how we want it to look. And then Kimmy and Joni do need to see these. So once you have this filled out, you will set it up for Joni or Kimmy's signature to review before they sign it. All right. So just a comment, I feel, it's not too often that we're getting things wet signed these days, but with listing contracts, a lot of times those listing appointments happen face to face. It kind of just depends on your practice. I always bring a hard copy of a listing contract and the forms that I need to my listing appointments. And if there's time, we'll sign right there. If not, then I'll set up a separate appointment to go over everything via Zoom. And that's, kind of another nice thing that has come of this, like forcing us to use Zoom more. I feel it is way easier, just like with the buyer consultation, to hop on a Zoom with our clients. Then you can pull up the documents and share the screen as I'm doing with you now and go through the contract and point out the different sections and just review it with them before they sign it. So once you have those executed documents, you guys, you're going to go back to command and you are going to add them here. So we had the question last week about doing the DocuSign rooms. It's going to be a lot of downloading from zip forms, saving it to your desktop, dragging and dropping it into command. And then once you have your completed file, then you will submit it to Kimmy for review. Then, in this market, it might be 2 days later, you're uploading the executed documents, the executed offer documents to the other contract folder, and then submitting it to Kimmy. And this mimics the offer to purchase, what we need, the buyer opportunity. So again, offer to purchase we need, the Addendum A, that's optional. But in this market, it's pretty typical that will be included in your offer to purchases. Counter offers if applicable, any amendments if applicable. And just a note as well, with your inspection contingencies, for example, you might have an amendment as a result of the negotiations. Don't let that hold you up from submitting this opportunity. You will add those things along the way. Any notices that might be applicable, the real estate condition report, the Addendum S if applicable, the inspection report is required. If an inspection report is waived, an inspection contingency is waived, I will just make a PDF of something that says no inspection contingency per the offer, and then I'll upload it to that so that Kimmy can see it and not look for it. The earnest money receipt, of course. And then just a comment too with earnest money receipts, in lieu of the actual check and receipt, if your client is using, if the buyer, is using trust funds, you are emailed along the way notifications that they have been initiated. And I just use those confirmation emails as my earnest money receipt. And then the cancellation agreement, hopefully that will not be needed often, but if you have a cancellation agreement and mutual release as a part of this transaction, you would upload it here. Kimmy does need to review those before any earnest money is to be dispersed. Okay, that's all I got. Do you guys have any questions? Can we open this up for general contract questions while we're all here? Chat. If you have a condo listing, will it be a different set of documents? Yes. Was it possible to prep all documents directly in DocuSign? 100%. Do you mean in zip forms or in the DocuSign room? If you want to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I was wondering, I usually prep my documents in the DocuSign room section, and I've done that before for a listing in Milwaukee, but I was just, you were showing us a different way, so I wasn't sure if like my way was still applicable or okay.
Yeah, no, you're fine. We talked about that. We touched on this last week. There's kind of two different ways to go through this process, and setting up and linking the DocuSign room between Command and zip forms is definitely still okay. Just going forward, we decided to just, for certain reasons, mostly with some contract issues and glitches with the Addendum A not lining up on the home warranty section, we decided to not teach the DocuSign room, but you are still welcome to use it.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you very much.
And then the condo listing, I'll show you the condo listing. So there is a global template for the condo listing as well. So instead of using picking the global residential packet, you will pick the condo listing packet. So the biggest difference between the two is the requirement of the condo addendum to real estate condition report. And then for any associations that are larger than 4, or is it 12 units, Joni?
Yes.
The executive summary is required as well, and you'll grab that from the condo documents, or when you retrieve the condo documents from the seller.
Okay, sorry, I'm like writing all this down. Can you repeat the 2 other documents that you'll need when you have a condo listing?
Yeah, it's in so when you set up or when you grab the global template, it will be in here for you, but the condo addendum to real estate condition report, that is required for all offers.
Condo listings.
And condo listings, I should say. And that's attached to the real estate condition report. But then if you have an association larger than 12 units, an executive summary is required. And that will be, I mean, when you go to collect the condo documents from your sellers, like those condo boards and condo management companies know that it will be available. Does that make sense?
Yes,
good?
Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome.
We had several questions in the last week about who signs a listing contract and who signs it if it's in a trust as opposed to a seller. Just remember, unlike the offer to purchase, the listing contract really can be signed by anybody, that anybody being the person that's going to pay the commission. So it's like in a husband and wife situation, a marital spouse situation. If only one person is available to sign the listing contract, that person is the one that's going to be on the hook to pay the commission. And most of the time, all parties who are related to the seller will be signing the listing contract. But there've been questions saying, do I have to wait to get the spouse's signature, or what happens in a trust? Generally, in a trust, they have their requirements set up on who has to sign. Sometimes all trustees in a trust have to sign any documents, and that's just the way the trust is set up. Or they're set up where there's a representative for the trustees, and only one of those trustees has to sign. And if you're listing a property that is in a trust, make sure you make that very clear in the notes in MLS, and make sure that your buyer has acknowledged that in their offer, that they're getting a trustee deed and not a warranty deed. So it's just a little detail to remember if you're dealing with the trust.
And that the title company is going to need to see those trust documents.
Exactly.
Anybody else? Do we have any other general questions? Okay. Well, I guess we'll give the gift of time then. There's another 23 minutes for you guys to lead gen. All right, so, okay, we'll let you guys go then.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, Steph.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joni.